You know what's more powerful than someone confessing they like you? It's when two people like each other and neither of them says it. That quiet space in between where everything is felt but nothing is spoken is often louder than words could ever be. Think about it. Those stolen glances across the room, that sudden pause in conversation when your eyes meet, the way time feels heavier when they're around. It's not random, it's not coincidence. It's chemistry building silently, waiting for one of you to step forward. But here's the secret: sometimes silence doesn't mean there's nothing. It means there's too much risk, too much care, too much to lose if it goes wrong. And so both people hold back. So let me ask you, have you ever been in that place where you knew the feelings were there, but no one dared to say it? Drop a yes in the comments if you've ever felt that pull but kept it locked inside. Because here's the truth: when two people like each other without saying it, they're already communicating, but only the brave ones decide to put it into words. There are times in life when language falls short, when what we feel inside is so powerful that speaking it out loud feels impossible. Attraction often hides in that quiet space. Two people cross paths and something awakens deep within. A spark, a pull, a silent awareness that this person is not like anyone else, yet both stay silent. Instead, the truth shows itself in subtle ways, in looks that last a little longer than they should, in conversations that refuse to end even when the subject has run out, in shy laughter that fills the moments where honesty wants to exist but doesn't. And though no words are exchanged, both can feel it, that undeniable current running quietly between them. But why does this happen? Why do human beings sense such powerful emotions yet hold them back? The answer hides in the fragile balance between longing and fear, in the way people search for closeness while protecting themselves from the pain of rejection. Yet within this silence, some of the most beautiful and unforgettable moments of life are born. It is in these unspoken bonds that two hearts often first begin to connect. Today we will look at what it truly means when two people like one another without saying it out loud, how it reveals itself through actions and gestures, why it happens, and why silence can sometimes speak more loudly than any words ever could. When two people are secretly drawn to each other without admitting it, the very first thing that gives it away is attention. Human beings naturally notice what matters to them. We might not always voice our feelings, but our eyes, our gestures, our very presence tell the story. Attention is never random or empty. Where we direct it, how long we keep it there, and the way it lingers always shares a message stronger than any sentence. Think about it. When someone doesn't mean much to us, we move on quickly. We don't stop to study their reactions. We don't memorize their small habits. We don't search for excuses to stay close to them. But when someone begins to settle in our heart, our attention sharpens like a lens. Suddenly the tiniest details matter. We notice the way they laugh, the tilt of their head when curiosity sparks, the way their voice changes when passion flows through their words. What the rest of the world ignores becomes unforgettable to us. That is why attention stands as the first and strongest sign of unspoken attraction. Two people who quietly like one another will find themselves noticing things about each other that no one else sees. They will become tuned in to the slightest shifts in mood, tone, or style. One look is enough to sense whether the other is joyful, frustrated, or lost in thought. This kind of awareness is never an accident. It is born from caring. Attention is the mind's way of investing in someone before the heart dares to reveal itself. Attention also reveals itself through time. It does not just show in what we notice, but also in how we choose to spend our minutes and hours. A man or woman who is quietly drawn to another will naturally want to be near them. They may not announce it out loud. They may not even admit it to themselves. Yet, you can see it in the way they place themselves in a room, in the way they start conversations, in the way they invent reasons to share a moment of space. When two people like each other, their paths seem to cross more often than chance would allow, not because of accident, but because their attention quietly guides them there. Even silence itself can reveal attraction. Think of those pauses during conversations. With someone we do not care much for, silence feels uncomfortable, something to cover quickly with small talk. But with someone we are drawn to, silence feels safe, even comforting. We allow it to stretch because the connection lies not in the words but in simply being there. Being close becomes enough. This kind of attention is soft and quiet, but its weight cannot be denied. Experts in human behavior often remind us that attention is one of the purest forms of love's language. To give someone our attention is to tell them without speaking that they are important. And when two people secretly like each other, this exchange of attention happens over and over. It might show itself in listening with unusual focus, in remembering the small things from past talks, or in offering small acts of help without being asked. On their own, these may appear minor, but together they form a hidden language of care that cannot be mistaken for anything else. Attention also shows itself in physical signals. Eye contact becomes more frequent, and it is not the casual kind shared with strangers, but the type that holds meaning. The eyes often reveal interest before the mouth ever dares to say it. Likewise, body language starts to shift. A person leans in closer, mirrors gestures, or naturally turns their body toward the other without thinking. These are not planned moves, but instinctive reactions to a deeper pull. Perhaps the clearest sign of all is how attention lingers even when people are apart. Two individuals who secretly like one another often find their thoughts drifting back. They replay shared moments, recall certain words, or picture the next time they might meet. The attention does not fade when the conversation ends. It quietly lives on in the mind, and when they finally meet again, that mental investment makes the bond feel stronger, as if they have known each other far longer than they truly have. What makes this even more fascinating is that most of the time, people are not even aware of just how much they are revealing through these acts of focus. But over time, the repeated gestures create a pattern that is almost impossible to miss. When two people like each other without saying it, their attention moves around one another like a dance, silent, patient, delicate, yet impossible to hide from those who know how to look. There is also a kind of vulnerability inside this attention. To notice someone so carefully is also to risk being noticed back. That is why unspoken attraction often carries both eagerness and hesitation. One moment they are fully present, holding on to every word. The next they glance away quickly as if afraid they revealed too much. This back and forth creates the beautiful tension that makes these unspoken bonds so powerful. It becomes a dance between desire and restraint, both wanting to step closer yet holding back out of caution. Attention becomes both a signal and a struggle. It signals interest, yet it also shows the fear of being too exposed. If you hold their gaze too long, they might sense your feelings. If you listen too deeply, they might guess your heart. And so people try to mask it, wrapping it in casualness. Yet anyone who looks closely can see there is nothing casual about it. This unspoken struggle is what keeps the silence alive, what keeps the spark simmering just under the surface. And strangely enough, this quiet tension builds intimacy before a single word of confession is spoken. A relationship can begin in the shadows of silence, built from glances, gestures, and attention alone. Long before feelings are admitted, two people are already weaving a bond with every look, every pause, and every moment of unspoken care. They are already telling one another, "You matter to me," without speaking it out loud. And in many cases, this quiet bond becomes the base for something deeper, once words finally catch up to what attention has already made clear. So when two people secretly like each other, the first evidence is always in the way they notice and give attention. It is not loud, not obvious, but it is steady and persistent. They cannot stop themselves from noticing each other. They cannot help being present in ways they are not with others. They cannot resist remembering the smallest details. And even while they remain silent, their attention speaks louder than words. It whispers what they are not yet ready to confess, that they have already begun to care. When two people are drawn to each other without saying it, what rises is a special kind of energy, a quiet connection that hums beneath the surface. It's not always something that can be explained clearly. Often it feels almost unreasonable, but it is there, undeniable, in the way the air shifts when they enter the same space, in the way laughter flows more easily, in the way silence feels charged rather than hollow. This energy is not imagined. It is the subconscious mind speaking in a language that words have not yet reached. Every human interaction carries a certain energy, but when two people like each other, that energy grows stronger and more alive. Their conversations feel different. They are not stiff or mechanical, but filled with life. Even the simplest exchange about something ordinary like work, daily routines, or even the weather takes on more meaning. Why is that? Because beneath the words lies an emotional current. The subject itself doesn't matter nearly as much as the fact that they are sharing it together. That's why people smile over the smallest things or replay simple talks in their minds. It wasn't the topic that mattered, it was the hidden connection inside it. Eye contact is perhaps the clearest sign of this energy. The human gaze carries deep weight. With strangers it is short, polite, or functional. But when attraction is present, the eyes linger. They grow deeper, almost magnetic. At times it feels impossible to look away. That prolonged eye contact reveals both interest and vulnerability in a way carefully chosen words never can. And the energy within those moments is unforgettable. It can feel as though time slows down, as though the rest of the world disappears. Two people who secretly like one another will often find themselves drawn into this gaze, holding it longer than expected, only to break it quickly, sometimes with nervous laughter, as if they've brushed against a truth neither is ready to admit. Body language also carries this unspoken energy. People lean in without realizing. Their movements grow more expressive. They mirror one another's gestures naturally. There is a magnetic quality to closeness. People who like each other unconsciously shrink the distance between them. They angle their bodies toward each other, even in a crowded place. Often they don't even notice they are doing it. Others may overlook it completely, but the two individuals feel it strongly. The quiet pull of closeness reflects a deeper desire for connection. Even humor takes on a different shade when attraction is present. Laughter comes more quickly, not because the jokes are sharper, but because the connection makes everything feel lighter. Shared laughter builds intimacy, creating a private little world where just the two exist, separate from everyone else. It is no surprise that many love stories begin with laughter. It breaks down walls, softens distance, and allows two people to relax in one another's presence. And when two people secretly like each other, their laughter often carries an unspoken message. I feel safe here. I enjoy being with you. I don't want this moment to end. But it isn't only the joyful moments where this energy reveals itself. It shows up in the quiet too, in the pauses, in the way the room feels when words fade away. Two people who secretly like one another often find silence comfortable. They don't feel the need to fill every space with talk. What might seem uneasy with others feels natural here. Silence becomes its own form of communication, a way of saying, I don't need to pretend with you. Just being here is enough. That kind of comfort is rare, and it points to the depth of their unspoken attraction. This energy is also heightened by anticipation. Every meeting, no matter how ordinary, carries weight. There's a sense of excitement before seeing the other person, a nervous energy that rises even in the most everyday moments. And when the meeting finally happens, that anticipation melts into presence. The feeling of being fully absorbed in the moment, paying attention in a way that doesn't happen with just anyone. The subconscious recognizes the importance of these encounters long before the conscious mind names it. It is fascinating how this unspoken energy often communicates more than words could. Words can be doubted, questioned, or brushed aside, but the way someone's energy shifts around you is difficult to fake. You can tell when someone lights up in your presence. You notice when their smile grows brighter, when their eyes sparkle in a different way, when their tone softens. These are not deliberate choices. They are natural, automatic signs of attraction. And when both people feel it, the whole dynamic changes, becoming charged with meaning that neither dares to put into words. At times, this energy can even feel overwhelming. The longing to speak it out loud clashes with the fear of being misunderstood or rejected. As a result, people may act differently, sometimes teasing more, sometimes playing it overly casual, or even pulling away suddenly as if trying to hide what their energy has already given away. This back and forth creates a tension, but it is exactly this tension that keeps the bond alive. The silence becomes electric, the unspoken emotions creating a space of possibility that feels endlessly alive. There is also a strange familiarity in this energy. When two people like each other without saying it, the connection often feels as though they've known each other much longer than they truly have. This is why they open up more easily, why conversations flow without effort, why being around each other feels so natural. The subconscious recognizes something meaningful, something rare, and it sends that message through this hidden current of attraction. This kind of energy is not common, which is why it feels so powerful when it happens. It doesn't happen with everyone. It doesn't happen every day. It happens only when something deep within two people connects, when attraction is not just physical, but also emotional and mental. And even though it may stay unspoken, the presence of this energy can completely change how they experience one another. In the end, when two people secretly like each other, the energy of their unspoken bond becomes the clearest sign. It shows in the laughter that feels different, in the silences that feel safe, in the eye contact that lingers, and in the body language that quietly reveals longing. It exists in the atmosphere around them, sometimes even noticed by others nearby. Words may stay unsaid, but the energy speaks louder than any confession ever could. And what makes it so strong is that it is not planned or forced. It rises naturally without effort, and that is why it cannot be ignored. It is the kind of energy that turns ordinary moments into unforgettable ones. The kind of energy that whispers the truth long before anyone dares to speak it aloud. When two people quietly like each other, the silence between them is never neutral. It is charged with a constant pull between desire and fear. On one side, the heart longs to step forward, to confess, to turn this quiet attraction into something undeniable. On the other side, the mind pulls back, weighed down by doubts, by uncertainty, by the shadow of rejection. This inner battle between wanting and hesitating is often what keeps feelings hidden for so long, even when both people sense something real is unfolding. Desire itself is simple. It pulls two people closer. It creates the need to share, to be open, to close the distance between them. It pushes toward honesty because truth feels freeing. When we like someone, we want them to know. We want to show it in words, in small touches, in our presence. Desire reveals itself quietly in little acts. The way someone lingers at the end of a talk, the way their face lights up when they see the other person, the way they search for reasons to stay near. Desire whispers, "I want more of this. I want you to know you matter to me." But fear, just as strong, pulls in the opposite direction. Fear warns of risk, of possible consequences, of what might go wrong. What if the other person doesn't feel the same way? What if admitting the truth ruins the friendship, the ease, or the fragile balance that already exists? What if rejection brings pain, shame, or even loss? Fear makes the unknown feel heavier, turning every possibility into a threat. And so instead of speaking, people stay quiet, caught in the tension of what could be but isn't yet. This conflict can feel exhausting. On the outside, everything seems normal. Two people laughing, talking, living their lives. But underneath, a storm is brewing. Every glance feels loaded. Every word is replayed later. Every interaction lingers in memory far longer than it should. Both people find themselves trapped between the joy of what they feel and the fear of what might happen if they reveal it. It is a delicate balance, and often neither side wins for a long time. Sometimes the silence is not only about personal fear, but about timing. Life often complicates attraction. One or both might already be in another relationship, or dealing with personal struggles, or still unsure of what they want. Attraction rarely arrives at the perfect moment, and so silence becomes a way to protect not only themselves but also the other person. It is like saying, "I feel this, but I don't want to risk hurting you or making things harder." Holding back becomes its own form of care, even though it adds weight to the tension. Still, even in silence, the conflict shows itself. It slips out in hesitation, in unfinished sentences, in words that hang in the air as if something more wanted to be said but wasn't. It shows in contradictions, acting distant to hide closeness, pretending to be casual while everything inside is meaningful. It shows in the way people swing between leaning in and pulling away, between wanting to reveal everything and hiding behind safety. This struggle between desire and fear also explains why silent attraction can feel so consuming. Because nothing is spoken clearly, the mind finds no closure. Instead, it circles endlessly, replaying moments, reading into signs, wondering what the other truly feels. Desire builds possibilities. Maybe they like me too. Maybe they meant something deeper. Maybe this is the start of something real. Fear counters immediately. No, you're imagining it. Don't risk it. Don't break what you already have. This inner conversation becomes constant, carried by both people quietly, never realizing the other is